Desert Point needs no introduction. An instantly identifiable break, and one that, for tube riding, is unrivaled. I mean, just letting this clip play is enough to mesmerize any of us. Through the early 70s and 80s, Bali was quickly becoming a go-to surf destination. So the more adventurous surfers posted up on the island began to look elsewhere for uncrowded, virgin waves. Now, there are multiple sort of overlapping accounts as to how deserts was first discovered, and several parties of mostly Californian surfers sailed over the Lombok Strait with a strong inclination there could be world-class waves on the neighbouring island of Lombok. Now, these small parties of surfers sailed over to Lombok, lived off what they caught, slept on their boats, or set up basic camps right on the sand. They bought vegetables off local villagers and ultimately tried not to catch malaria. Now, what these guys found was unlike anything the world had ever seen before. Long, hollow, and perfect, with absolutely nobody around. If you dig deep online, there's tales of that time where the waves were just so perfect, flawless, empty, just the most perfect barrels you've ever seen, with no one around. Now, while they found this flawless wave, it was so hollow, so powerful, and just these freight train lefts down this really shallow stretch of reef. The really scary aspect to deserts was that once you got in and were locked into the tube, the wave just grew and grew down the line, and eventually it reached what became known as the grower section, which is an exact description of what the wave does. A break that was in equal parts perfect and scary. So we don't know the exact moment as to when deserts was discovered. You know, a lot of other waves, there's kind of this pinpoint moment of where it was discovered. But with deserts, you've kind of had a lot of different parties heading there around this time, and you know, they might have gone there and scored on one swell, and then on the next swell you had a different party sort of doing that as well. So there's all these sort of overlapping accounts. But the point is, these early surfers kept it pretty quiet, and it became an if you know, you know type of break. But I can't imagine actually how scary it would have been, you know, surfing back in that day, just in boardies, on older boards as well. You know, especially backside, like stalling and like that kind of tube riding hadn't quite gotten to where it is today. So imagine riding those kind of waves miles from the nearest hospital, like zooming over super shallow water that you can see the coral heads race past you as you're on the wave. Word did get out eventually, and with that word, more surfers flocked to deserts over the years. And slowly, over the following decades, as there was more media coverage and, you know, the wave just got more and more famous. And it was a combination between magazines, the internet, surf media, and low-cost airfares that just made deserts more accessible to more surfers. And then through the 2000s, deserts was firmly on the radar for any tube-hungry surfer. Despite the area's fame, only a handful of warongs and losmans began to line the point, and the place grew pretty gradually. So while it was firmly on the radar for basically everyone who was good enough to ride those sorts of waves, the place maintained a sort of rustic, remote charm. And I guess sort of the unreliable, gnarly sort of nature of the wave kept a lot of people away as well. It wasn't this like sort of beginner, intermediate, friendly break that everyone could flock to. It only worked on certain tides. It was really hollow, really heavy and shallow, so even a lot of advanced surfers who are not comfortable with those kind of waves, you know, didn't go. Over the years, a handful of local standouts began cropping up, learning the break's intricacies with a deeper understanding than anyone. Names such as Usman Trioko earned the reputation as the king of deserts, and spend any time there and you'll see Usman likely weaving through wave of the day. Now, whenever deserts breaks these days, surfers fly in from Bali and from around the world to sample a bit of the goods. And when it's on, the place becomes a hectic spectacle. You know, you freight training like long, hollow left-hander with loads and loads of people. You know, there's one guy dropping in on the inside, pumping through a tube, people on the shoulder just waiting for them to fall off and dropping in if they don't make it. It's pretty chaotic, and it's produced some iconic sessions over the years. You know, we've all seen the footage, Bruno Santos at the grower, Mason with his backside stalling antics, all those kind of sessions, like crazy long tubes. So many crazy waves have been ridden out there, including some crazy wipeout stories as well. You know, there's a few that I read online in the making of this video, as you can see here, which sounds super gnarly. You know, people getting driven into the reef, washed up onto dry reef, breaking boards, breaking bones, yeah, all sorts of crazy shit. Also, deserts isn't a reliable place, you know? It's not like other places in Indo where there's just pumping waves all the time. It needs a certain swell, it needs the tide to sit right. There's a few very specific things that have to come together, you know? So it's either a place you've got to go there and just wait it out for weeks or months on end, or do strike missions, which I guess is what everyone does. I haven't been there personally, I'm too scared, but from all accounts it sounds pretty chaotic and pretty scary. Not that confident on the backhand, especially over sharp, shallow coral. But if any of you guys have surfed it, please let me know your experience down in the comments. Is it as gnarly as it seems? What's the crowd like? Is it a pretty hectic wave? And despite the wave's fame, the mission to get there remained sketchy for a long time. Lombok wasn't like how it is today, you know, these days it's a hell of a lot safer, but until like the last few years, Lombok remained a pretty dangerous place, you know, it's a lot different from Bali. And I've heard loads of different accounts of people being robbed with machetes on their way to deserts and throughout Lombok. And the road to get there is still a 15k long axle shaking nightmare, so it's still not the easiest mission. And then when you get there, there's still not really much there, you know, it's super dusty little remote surfing outpost, you know, there's no luxury resorts or yoga retreats there, it's just literally just surf huts and warangs. But this looks set to change drastically. Just before we move on to what's going on at deserts, thank you to YeSim for sponsoring this episode. So if you're heading away on a surf trip, having mobile data is basically essential these days. And YeSim has some super affordable data packages from countries all over the world, including Indonesia. It's super easy to download, it's really easy to buy the packages and install them to your phone. If you use the code DAN15 at checkout, that will get you 15% off your first purchase. Let's get back to deserts. So currently there are major development rumours for Desert Point. The West Lombok Regency government plans to pave the 15k dirt road used to reach the place. Lombok has now been designated as a special economic zone, and the Indonesian government looks to position Lombok as a premier international sports destination, with the racetrack over in Kuta Lombok and the relatively new international airport now running flights from KL and Singapore. A 149 hectare project named Marina Bay City is being developed in the surrounding Bunwan Mas area, featuring a marina, luxury villas, hotels, and is set to be touted as the Miami of Indonesia. Rumour has it that a developer turned up and offered some locals 15 million rupiah to move off the point to make way for construction. So the whole ethos around the potential transformation of the area is around positioning deserts as a globally renowned destination and serve as a world-class surf competition venues such as Uluwatu or G-Land. But at the moment, these are just rumours. The land here is also on national park land, which further adds to the complexities regarding the official land ownership and its usage. Despite this, deserts today is still largely underdeveloped, so the area is still dominated by simple homestays and warangs rather than any luxury large-scale resorts. So the future of the development of deserts hangs in the balance. But whatever happens, one thing is for certain. When conditions align and the tide sits right, the waves will reel down the point in the same beautiful, scary, mesmerizing way they always have done. If you can add any info regarding the development of Desert Point, please feel free to comment down below. I'd love to learn a little bit more. Obviously at the moment these are sort of only rumours. I hope you've enjoyed this story, and if you like these Indo history stories, I've created a little mini playlist on my channel where it's all just Indo surf stories, so check out a few of the other ones up here. And also if you just want to let me know of your experience of surfing it, please comment that as well. Thank you for watching. Thank you to YeSim for sponsoring the episode. For now, it's goodbye from me, and I'll see you in the next episode.